Alright, in this video we are going to look at your different lasso selection tools. So there's three of them. L is your keyboard shortcut to get to each of them. And again, just like any other tool, we got to look at the menu at the top. And the main options we're going to look at are just like some of the other selection tools. Are we going to create a new selection when we make something? Are we going to add to what we have selected? Are we going to subtract from what we currently have selected? So first let's start with the regular lasso tool. This is kind of the easiest one to use, but at the same time it's like the least accurate, so you don't use it that often. Where this is good for, let's say that I had a document with two fish on one layer. So let me join these two layers together. Let's go ahead and merge those layers. Okay, so let's say I wanted to be able to move these fish separately, and you can see they're kind of stuck together now. So the lasso is great for this. There's already a transparent background. So really, I'm just trying to separate these two. I don't need to make a really good clean selection of like the edge of the fish or anything. So what I can do with this tool is whenever I hold my mouse down, it kind of goes wherever I go with the plain lasso. When I let go with the mouse, it turns into a selection. So it just kind of follows me exactly where I go. And again, if I wanted to separate this from this layer, I could now simply do something along the lines of like cut, and then when you paste, it now places it in its own layer. And again, what that allows me to do now is I can move these two fish separately. So again, most useful kind of application in my opinion for the lasso is what I'm doing here, where two things are kind of stuck on the same layer, but they're not directly next to each other. There is no background next to them. I just kind of want to separate things, or I want to select like a chunk of something loosely. That's where your regular lasso is good. And again, it just goes wherever you put your mouse as you're dragging. The next lasso tool let's look at is your polygon lasso. Again, another easy one to use. It's good for anything that's like all straight lines. So say I wanted to cut out this stop sign. Again, I'm going to stay just a few pixels on the inside of the white here. I click and let go to my next spot, click and let go, and I just continue working my way around like this. And again, just like the other tools, I have the option of making it so that I am adding to what I currently have selected, I'm making a new selection, or I'm subtracting from my selection. And again, that all happens at that little menu at the top. When I get to the end, as I work my way around here, when I get back to where I started, I can either, if I click at the beginning, you'll notice there's a little circle next to the icon for this. That'll end it. I can also double click to get out of this. So that'll make my selection there. So that's going to do great. And again, it'll be a nice clean line as I put a mask on here, or if I do something else with that. Again, if I want, let's put like an adjustment mask on here. And now if I play with that, so let's get my adjustments window open. If I wanted to say like colorize the stop sign, you can kind of see now where those selections are useful outside of just being used for cutting something out. So again, I'm changing color just the stop sign. I'm not affecting anything else, and it looks clean. It looks natural. Nobody's ever going to know that how I did that. All right. Other things to know with the polygon lasso. Let's go back into this layer here. If I make some points and I need to step backwards a moment, if I hit backspace, I believe, yeah, that keeps jumping backwards now as I hit backspace. It takes me back, so if I accidentally click and I didn't mean to click somewhere, I can just hit backspace to undo that one point. I don't need to start over from scratch. Alright, and then again, if I kind of mess up and I want to just end this thing, I can just double click and that will end that selection. So that's pretty much your polygonal lasso. Again, good for like straight things. Last one to look at, let's look at your magnetic lasso. This is probably the one that you're going to use the most. It works well anytime there's a good contrast in color between your object and the background. So I'm just going to pick a spot along here. Now the bottom of this little icon is kind of where like the end of it is. That's where like the tip of my cursor is. So I'm going to click on the fish. Now as I start moving around, I don't have to be perfect here because you see it's kind of like sucking to the edge of that fish. If it falls off track at all and I feel like it's not going to the right spot, I can click and it'll add a little anchor point wherever I click. So as I work my way around here, kind of see how this is going all by itself. I'm kind of guiding it, but at the same time I don't need to be perfect. And again, wherever I feel like I need to, I can just click, and that adds a dot exactly where I click. So if there's like some sharp corners or something and this thing's having trouble finding it, sometimes you got to just put some clicks in there to help it find it. And I'm going to work around quickly here. I would need to do a lot more like clicking in this area. If I did mess up, again, just like the last one, I can hit backspace and that just keeps going back points. I don't need to redo everything. But I'm just going to work around this really, really quickly here just to kind of keep moving. So I'm going to add a point in there to kind of help it. And you see it's kind of like adjusting itself as it goes, and it's really doing a good job helping me out to pick what I need. So again, I'm just trying to move quick here for the sake of the video. And again, once I get to the beginning, I can either double click to end this, or if I click one time where I started, it'll convert it into a selection, and again, it's ready to be used for whatever I need it for. So let's go ahead and put a mask on here just to kind of show you. So there it is there, and again, I could have spent more time in these areas here, but for the most part, that does a really nice job with the selection. So those are your 3 lasso tools.